Today, we're going to be building a $1 million business in just 120 minutes. We're also going to learn how to clearly talk about the stuff we want to sell so that everybody understands and wants to buy it. We're also going to learn how to identify better customers who always want to buy your stuff. And we're even going to learn a start to finish strategy on how to turn lookers into loyal fans. So let's go ahead and begin.
I'm Gandhi. I'm a founder and CEO of Minimalist Innovation. It's a consulting company based out of Renton. We do technology consulting. I'm also a co-founder and CTO of a fintech company.
Here's how we can translate what you do, very high level, highly intelligent, highly technical, proficient field into something that people want. I like to use this framework. I'm surprised most businesses don't use this framework because it really helps you understand what it is you're doing and start to quantify it, because this will define your niche. So let's say on a high level that you have 3 key things. Actually, I'm going to write these out too because it'll be easier. So you have your features, your benefits, and your outcome. So your feature, benefit, and your outcome. Let's map this out. The different color for this one. What's a feature you can provide?
Road mapping.
Road mapping, okay. What's the benefit of road mapping?
The benefit is they have clarity on what they're executing, and
Simplify it down so like a 5th grader can understand it.
they have a clear path to execution.
Execution to what?
Execution of, let's say they have a program or they have a service that they want to provide, but they don't know how to start and where to go. What the road mapping does is builds a project plan and shows them, hey, this is how we execute. In 2 months, you will have an outcome.
Is this for new businesses? So these are
New and existing businesses who are trying to add services.
So they're looking to improve their operations related to it?
It might be features, it might be services that they're providing to the customer, and it might be operation.
So road mapping gives them almost clairvoyance, so it helps them understand the next steps to take. What's usually the obstacle that would be, like, let's say I wanted road mapping and I wanted to build, I don't know, because you're a tech consultant, I wanted to build an app. What would the road mapping
Let me
entail?
take a step back,
Okay.
and I'll give you paint a picture, and then we can go from there.
Perfect.
And you can say it's esoteric. That's been one of my biggest problem. So the biggest problem I want to solve is a founder or a CTO getting stuck with execution. Okay, so my target audience is you have funding, you started down a path, you have an idea, you started down a path, and after executing 1 or 2 cycles, you get stuck because the market has changed, or the investor is pushing some ideas, or your team is not able to execute on your vision. These are all places where they get stuck. I'll give you a very concrete example. I have one client that I'm working with right now. He's in EdTech. It's an education startup. So he started with a vision that, hey, university admissions for students is difficult. Right now, they go to all these different universities and they don't know what to say. They don't know how to write a recommendation letter. They don't know what, and they go to these teachers and they have no idea what these students have done. So they just write a blank letter, which doesn't mean anything. So it's a struggle for the students to find right programs in universities. He wants to solve that problem. That's his vision.
Yes.
He has sunk about 180,000 so far into the project.
Okay.
After a year and a half, he has not gone anywhere. He has some LMS systems out there. He has some training programs out there, but his vision has not come together. So he's stuck. That's what I mean when I say stuck.
Okay.
He came to me. So I basically used the tools that I use. I use a framework called jobs to be done. Said, okay, hey, what is a job that the student is trying to get done?
Yeah.
What are the influencers? Like, who is the ambassador? What does the high school teacher have to do with it? What are the parents? The parents are paying for it. So what is their influence on it?
Okay.
Figuring out the customer empathy map, laying out what that experience is going to be like for students. And then say, okay, if you need to get this project out the door, this is your minimal viable product you need to have. How do you onboard the students? How do you give like a freemium version so they try it out, word of mouth, get more students? After they get the admission, how do they engage their platform? Is it a one-time deal? Is it a continuous deal? What are the related jobs?
I see.
How do you find a major? How do you connect with other students in the community, right? So building that holistic roadmap
Mhm.
is the first step that I do.
So I'm almost getting, you're almost like a provisional CTO and a CFO and kind of a co-founder in a way.
Yes.
So you give them a blueprint for sustainable growth.
Yes.
Perfect. So blueprint, just put for growth, which the outcome means they know where to put resources, to put time, effort.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And another outcome is
Without.
funding. I am pushing this particular person to get a seed funding because he shouldn't be putting his own money into doing all this. So building a business plan and a financial plan so that they can take this into funding is another outcome.
I would actually put that as a whole different service. Finance.
And business plan.
So this would probably be the business plan, and then the finance portion would be you find the investors for them.
No, I don't. I basically build out the plan for them so they can go and find the funding.
I
So
see.
it's basically like, okay, what does your model look like? How should you price your product?
How
What is
boots on the ground do you get? Is it like a pitch deck? You tell them how to talk to investors, or is it just here's your map, you can now take this to other people to
no?
give
I
you?
do a pitch deck. I teach
Okay.
them how to talk to investors.
Okay. So you are secure funding, which would be how to raise capital, and then so you don't flood. I wouldn't say flood. I would probably say so you don't drain your money, basically. So
Yeah.
you don't have to drain your money. I mean, these are very compelling things. I'm starting to get a picture of what you do. What else do you do?
1 second. Let me show you something.
Sure thing. We don't want to lump too many of these into the same thing, because if you have them individualized, we'll be able to make these more compelling bullet points.
Part of this is validating their idea, right? Like, hey, do you have a valid idea? Who is the competitor? How do you do the market research? Um,
Market validation.
Market validation. I don't do like too much boots on the ground validation. I do at a high level. And I use AI tools for doing my analysis and research.
So you're going to know if it's even worth it.
Yes.
So you can help me roadmap my entire process.
Mhm.
You can help me validate my market idea. You can help me secure funding. What else can you help me do?
Once it's there, how do you execute on it? Like, what is your MVP? How do you break it down? How do you take your roadmap?
I'm getting way too many services at once. Let's start with just the MVP.
Okay.
So tell me more about how you work with the MVP process.
So it's basically taking the roadmap and saying, what does it take to go to the market and start showing cash flow? Cash flow is the king. And how do you start showing cash flow?
Do you
And
build the MVP, or do you find developers who can build the MVP?
it depends on which stage the project is in. If they have a development team who's capable of building it, I stop with the product plan. If they don't have a development team, I bring my team in to implement. And typically it's a 90-day build. I say it's a 96-day build, even 3 months. It's a 3-month. So
I mean, they're presumably going to want to get to the prototype as fast as possible
yeah,
to showcase.
yeah.
That's the whole purpose. Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of really good things. You can do My road mapping, secure funding, market validation, even help me get developers to build this MVP. Complete end-to-end, make your idea a reality.
Yes.
What else can you do?
Yeah, bringing vision to reality is my motto.
So less fluff. Let's start with we're going to just hone in on the features first.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything else? Anything else?
As part of this MVP build, I also build in their KPIs and measurements
Okay.
so they can make strategic bets. Sometimes we know that we have a problem and there are multiple solutions to the problem. We don't know which one is right. So in that case, I don't build a full MVP. Rather, I take strategic bets and just see how we can do A/B testing, take it to market, validate the idea, get feedback, and then go into a full build. So KPI, North Star metric, that's an exercise of its own.
So that sounds a lot like market validation, but just with split testing, basically.
This is after market. Like once you've validated the market, you have validated the problem with the market. Now you need to go into the solution space. Like
so now you're determining which solution is the best.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So solution.
Yeah. If you take the market product fit, I break it into market problem fit and a problem solution fit. That's basically what you're ready.
Okay. So you're verifying which solution.
Yeah.
So that means that you can know the most effective version of this thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's the most viable
Version. Which means they'll probably earn revenue faster.
Correct.
I would imagine. Okay. So they're going to earn more plus faster. Okay. We can just keep going until we reach the bottom here. We're about probably 3 chunks left.
Okay. And once they get the market, now we need to operationalize it, right? At the MVP stage, we may not build all the architecture necessity like security, governance, compliance, GDPR, government thing, right? Whatever. All those things are not part of the MVP build that comes after, right? So how do you automate it? Like this person, he wants to go and he has students in India and Kazakhstan who are interested, universities interested in buying it. So how do you go international? How do you solve it? So there are two things I take. One is take your build, complete it in US market, and then start growing, or hand it off to his team and then work on the next MVP and go and say, okay, how do I build for Kazakhstan? How do I build your solution for India? How do I customize it, right? So taking an architecture view, so taking your blueprint, which is at a high level, giving you a shape of the house, and now putting pieces in so that I can start to build it over and over again in other places, right?
So I heard about three different features in there. One of them is compliance. So GDPR, data regulations, you're securing user
security,
information, anything to do with payment.
Yeah.
I also heard probably it sounds like business operations. So is this day to day, like here's how to function, here's your next path. And then the third one's likely probably going to be the infrastructure, I would imagine. So do you help them, like, let's say they have the MVP, they've built this out, now they have a functioning business model. The next step presumably is going to be, how do you scale this?
Operationalize and scale. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So scaling.
So startup to scale up is what I call it.
I like that. I like that a lot. Startup. What'd you say? Startup
to scale up.
To scale up. I really like that. Startup to scale up. So we're just going to put biz ops, and then we're going to put compliance.
Yeah, compliance, secure, infosec overall.
Yeah. So infosec, assuming they're in the biz and they know that. So, so they're going to get their benefit from this is going to be fast track. I need a smart board where I have fonts that don't look like my handwriting. All right, fast track to growth. Actually, that's more of an outcome. So we're going to fast track you to growth. And that means that you're not going to have to, the benefit is, well, now you know where to take it.
A lot of companies make two mistakes. The first mistake is they build too much of this infrastructure up front, but their business is not there, and they spend too much, or they don't know how to go from an MVP into operationalizing something. So those are the two mistakes that I'm trying to fix in startup to scale up.
We're going to come back to that in the chart, but remember those. So how to run it, probably keep it lean, I would imagine is the thing they really want. And then this is going to be keep it safe. You don't want a lawsuit on your hands. You don't want somebody knocking at your door saying, hey, here's a nice little fine from the EU because you sent this out of their servers. So what you're telling me is, hey, startup founders, in just 90 days, our entire team can come in and take you from startup to scale up, and you can do all of this for them. Now comes the fun part. We just need to get this right once. That's it. To build a predictable lead gen flow and influx of customers, we need to understand who really needs this. And you've already read the book, $100 million Offers, and just like Alex Hormozi says, it is, can they afford it? Are they growing? And do they have pain? And then I believe, oh, one other one is, I like to add the pain on there, but he also does easy to target. So they should be able to afford your thing. They should be a growing business. They should have some form of inherent pain, in my belief, and they should be easy to target with definable traits, especially when it comes to digital marketing. So based on this metric, I'm going to flip this over. The problem with technical fields is always the same. You have to be able to understand where they're at in the journey and where they want to be. So all you're doing is moving them from here to here, and then presumably after they bought your thing, likely going to be your first upsell of some sort. So these are going to be people who don't understand what you do, aren't even aware of you, but know that they have a problem. You can likely solve it. These are going to be people who are, okay, I have a somewhat of an idea of what the problem is. I have somewhat an idea of who can solve it, but I'm not really sure which next step to take. And then this is right now mainly where you're targeting, which is people who have a problem, are aware of your stuff. They really just need a push to do it. So that's where your offer would live. This is kind of what you're talking about right now with the high level language. We want to get these people as well. Yeah, so this will all connect and make a lot more sense once I basically write it out. This is objection handling, and this is usually where your offer lives. And then this is basically just extra money after you've earned the trust. So at this point, all you're realistically doing is educating people. So just like you're doing with your blog posts, just like you're doing with your content that you'll be creating, just like you're doing with your lead magnets, anything that gets them to better understand the problem, moves them closer to the objection stage, and then eventually the offer stage. And this is where you're going to be handling those objections. So let's say that, for instance, you had something you were trying to sell, and this theoretically could earn a business more revenue. They just need to understand you want to earn more revenue, you live here. Here's how this thing does that. That's all you're telling them. Then once they're aware of you, especially if you can get their contact information, you're just objective handling at this stage, which is going to be, well, what if it doesn't work for me? What if it's too expensive? What if it takes too long? My business is different. I'm a very special, unique snowflake, and nobody's ever done this before. Most businesses are going to kind of be in this conversation in their head where they say it doesn't work. Then you're going to basically say like, okay, I know what this thing is. I know why it matters. I know how it applies to me. What does it cost? How long does it take? I just need a little bit to push me over the edge. Most businesses fall into a few key categories. I like to put them in a tier list. You have tier 0, you have tier 1, you have tier 2, you have tier 3. Tier 0 is where you don't want to be. Generic, commodified. I'm a landscaper, I'm a lawyer, I'm a CPA. Please work with me, please give me money. I work with anybody who has a pulse and is breathing. Tier 1, semi-defined. Well, you know, I'm a CPA that likes to focus on businesses that are earning at least $500,000 a year. It's just it. This one is going to be defined. And this one is going to be winners. This is my favorite one. Or as they like to call them, disruptive businesses. So here, you're working with anybody here, you kind of have an idea who you're working with. Here, you probably have about 2 or 3 attributes that you look for as a qualifying factor: age, sex, gender, hobbies, interests, pain, spending power. Here is you're so good that you're pretty much defining the way the market is going. This is where Apple lives, this is where Tesla lives, this is where anybody who's so big and so well defined and is so able to get an incredibly competitive value that they're just defining how the market works. We need to go farther down this list until ultimately, in theory, somebody could click add to cart for your business and then get all of the outcomes that you've just outlined here. Wouldn't that be great? So let's go back to our person here. We want to move farther down the list. So you mentioned startups. That's a tier 1.
So my baseline is they feel stuck. And when I see the startups getting stuck is they have money, they've invested money, and then they're not seeing progress, meaning they've gone into a sustainability mode, right? One of the companies I worked with, they invested a ton of money. They got T-Mobile as their client. They made shitload of money during COVID, and then it petered out. They went into it, they got the client, and now they hired people, they had a company, and then COVID went away, and then their business is petering down. They don't know what to do. They still need to run the business because they have to support T-Mobile, so the contract has to be running. So they went into a sustainability mode. That's a horrible thing for a startup because the investor is going to go for like, hey, I invested 10 million, I want 100 million back. So what do I do? Right?
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to grow your business. So in the growing category, they want to grow, they have the need to grow, but they don't know how to grow is the actual problem that I'm trying to solve. Where I'm trying to help is at least they have seed funding, they've invested money, they're at a point where they can't go back or they don't know how to move forward. So it's at least seed, Series A, Series B, some kind of funding. They have money in the bank. They are making cash flow. It's just that they don't know how to grow it.
Okay. Before we jump into that, I don't want to stereotype. I'm a nerdy guy. You're nerdy. Did you ever play any RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, anything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah. You know when you fill out like your stat sheet, how
yeah,
much intellect you have, how much
yeah.
attack you have? Just like that, we need to define our John Doe. He could
Okay,
be anybody.
okay.
So
So
you
this,
mentioned a few key things here. They
yeah,
have funding.
yeah.
How much funding? Presumably, you want to set a bar for
At
who you
least $1
can.
million in funding.
Okay, so at least a mil
Yeah,
in capital.
yeah.
Okay, and then let's just go down.
Their role is typically a CTO or a
So
founder.
C level
Yeah, and a founder or a founder. Yeah.
or founder. Okay,
I've had more success with non-technical people trying to get technology into the business.
so non-tech savvy.
They're in the age group 35 to 50.
Perfect. 35 to 50. Oh, sure.
So far, I've not found difference between men and women entrepreneurs.
Pretty
Uh,
much the same across gender lines.
yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to go based on the video, I found I work well more than the customer. I work well uh, with people who are more collaborative. Um, I don't know, let me come back with the right words.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, we want to paint a picture of what this person looks like, your perfect customer who could walk in the door, because what we're looking to do, just for future context, is we want to start to find where these people hang out, what language they speak, and ultimately how you can give the lowest barrier to entry. So when we go back to that sales ladder, John Doe is probably somewhere on that journey already. They
Yeah.
might even be like, I've always wanted to build this app idea. I could make a gajillion dollars, or I really want to, my infrastructure sucks at my company. It's been the same as it is. They're still programming in COBOL. It's such a nightmare. I just want to get to something modern. But what we need to understand is, and we can come back to this if you want, or we can keep fleshing out this person.
I want to add one more thing. I'm focusing mostly on North America. If you want to go even down further, I want to focus on United States, and even down further, just on West Coast.
Yeah.
When I started the company, my aspiration was to help startups and small businesses in this area, Renton, Kentucky. That's why I started it here. Uh, but and based on my market research, there are like a lot of startups in this area in aerospace and
Absolutely.
healthcare,
Yeah.
but I'm not able to reach them. Those will be my first preference and target,
Okay.
just hitting people here and then growing outside. There are a lot of competition, like India and other countries. I'm not focusing there, but what I do is teach them. I do a university level course with a university in Kazakhstan where I'm helping them how to do this, right?
Yeah.
From a student perspective.
One other thing I'd like to add on there, if you just had to focus on one industry, just to start with, I know it feels like jail. What would you say, who could you say would get the most impact from this? Who is struggling the hardest with this? And if you came in, you could just change their world. Healthcare has a lot of funding, a lot of competition. It's a lot of grants. It's a lot of high level PhDs. You know,
So healthcare, I don't have any working experience in healthcare to say that I will get it done,
there
right?
we go.
So I have transferable skills and I can bring in the right team to go and implement it, but that's not something I can advertise.
Who have you already
Re-
brought the most value to?
Retail is where I have
Retail.
brought the most value to. EdTech will be the next.
Okay.
And then with neobanks and banking as a service, I'm gaining that experience right now. So
Okay. So presumably this is, we'll put this in parentheses as a soft.
yeah.
So you're looking for somebody with at least a mill in the bank, probably a C-level or at least a boots on the ground founder. They're not really tech savvy, probably about 35 to 50 years old who lives in the West Coast.
Mhm.
And okay, so let's start with our first sales ladder on how to help these people. So when I read your website, I actually showed it to 3 people in my life. I showed it to a financial advisor, I showed it to my CTO for my app I'm building, and I showed it to just a random friend that I had. And I was like, what do you think this company does? None of them could figure out what you do. And that's a very big problem because we want to avoid fluff statements, we want to avoid tech jargon, and we want to avoid basically things that feel like are not necessarily, how do I put this? We want to de-emphasize you and emphasize them.
Yeah.
It's all about them. So cold traffic, let's say our John Doe is right here. They have a problem. What are the questions that are buzzing through their head?
How do I realize my vision?
How to what?
How do I realize my vision?
Do they say it like that? Sounds a bit
Yes.
grandiose.
Uh, Not grandiose. They're basically saying, I started with some idea in my mind, but I'm not able to put on paper.
And it's usually a
It's,
tech idea?
Tech plays a big role in their idea.
Okay.
Almost all the entrepreneurs right now, when they start, they have tech as part of their plan, whether it's a bank, whether it's a healthcare. Um, so we are moving away from digital transformation into the AI era, where everybody wants to use AI, everybody wants to use transformation, but they don't know where to start or how to integrate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it in real time. I mean, you make a tool that theoretically can do anything, like OpenAI is pitching, and you give it to somebody, and you're like, well, what do I type? How can I use this? Oh,
Yeah.
you can edit spreadsheets and make images and do this and make Python code. And then they're kind of like, what the heck? So then you see all these AI models that are like, oh, this one reads legal documents, and
Yeah.
this one summarizes your emails.
Yeah.
Marketing kills it at that. By the way, if all of this is still too confusing and you're looking for more of a tailored solution specifically for your business, I can help you. All you have to do is click on the link in the description or the pinned comment, and one-on-one for free, we'll walk through the entire thing step by step by step to get your business on the path to growth that it actually deserves. All right, so what else are they asking? This is very emotional level right now.
Some of them are more, what do I say? They've gone to the point where, like, hey, man, I've invested so much money. I don't want to really drop it and walk back. How do I make it work?
No, that's warm. They're looking now for you, the solution. This is
Okay.
cold. Very high level. They just had this idea. They just incepted themselves, and now they have all these where do I get money? I would imagine that's probably one. Yeah,
Yeah.
where do I get money?
How do I get money, right?
Where, how
Yeah.
do I get funding?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
What is the first step in executing
First step in executing what?
their idea?
I'm going to say, I guess, first step to build it.
Mhm.
Okay. Keep them coming.
Validation of the idea. Like, is this
Is
idea
it a
just
good
in my
idea?
head? Yeah.
Is it a good idea? Okay.
Where and how do I sell it? It's basically a
Okay, so
customer
that's a warm
targeting
problem
form.
as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
They haven't even made the thing. They're just,
Okay.
it's a teardrop in their eye.
Um,
That is
how
spelled.
much money do I need?
Okay. Oh, that's a really good one. How much
Some
is
people think they
extreme?
can just get $1,000 and get it from a bank and make it happen, and they realize it's not enough. Worst experience I've had is investors take their own money,
Mhm.
put into it, and build something, and then they say like, I don't know what to do next. Right? I've been
Mm.
showing this app to people and it doesn't do anything. So they get lost.
Now we're in the warm stage. They're like, you know what? I did the thing. I figured out how much it costs. I started taking the first steps to building it. I invested. Now what? What else happens?
The second one, they built it with a specific customer in mind because when they started out of an idea with they had a company and now the company is buying it, but they don't know how to expand beyond that. They are stuck
Mm.
with that one customer.
That's
Nobody
going to be
else
a
wants it.
hot problem.
Okay.
So I'm going to write, how do I scale it? Because presumably
It's not scaling necessarily, it's diversifying.
so they want to they want to increase their customer base.
Correct.
That assumes that they have a customer base already, correct?
Correct.
Got it. So okay, that would actually fit here. How do I increase my customer base?
Yeah. To some extent, this is my problem.
You know what's ironic? It's very easy to tell others what's wrong with their business, but it's very hard to look back and realize that it's also in your business. Don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of the same thing. Okay, so how do I increase my customer base? What else?
Do I have the right team? And two different problems. So, do I have the right team is the first problem.
Okay, how do I get right team?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And typically the problem there is when they hire for MVP, going fast to market, young blood, and then you get to the point where like, hey, have you thought about security? Have you thought about scaling? What happens when when your system is failing, right? They have not had that real world experience. They've got a chat GPT writing the code, but they don't know how to scale beyond that. So that's what happens with how do I get the right team? Yeah.
How do I keep it safe?
Yeah.
Keep it safe. Okay. So these are a little more niche down, a little more technical. We'll just keep going through. I think we can fit probably 3-ish more in there, and then we'll move on to hot.
Okay. The other one is how do I keep my marketing, sales, customer support, engineering aligned to the vision? Because once you get to the market, you have to support it, and you're going to get feedback on your existing product, meaning you have to make changes. Your marketing and sales are going to push for more revenue, and your engineering team is wanting to make it safe and scaled and all that. How do you balance these things? How do you keep them all aligned?
Okay. What's two more?
Sometimes the problem gets diluted because you want to make revenue. So you start introducing features that are more revenue generating, and then your vision or idea is lost. So either you have to go back and validate your idea, or you have to come back and see, hey, how is my idea evolved as I'm learning from the market? And this shows up more if your investor funded your idea rather than the revenue, right? Like, for example, in the education industry, let's say you got a grant because somebody thought, hey, you're going to educate underserved community, I'm going to give you a grant for that. But then when you started the business, you started evolving based on the market feedback and revenue. You diluted the original idea, and the investor goes like, you're not helping the underserved community.
Yeah.
So now your idea is diluted. Now how do you go from there?
You're going from Khan Academy to Duolingo to Udemy. I noticed you're selling a lot of master classes. The kids in Kazakhstan cannot afford these. Okay, so how would you boil that down into a sentence? Am I losing grip on my business, basically?
It's not the business. The business is doing well. It's just the idea gets diluted. So how do you evolve your idea, or idea evolution, I would say?
How to I Right, so this is version 2.0, basically. How do
Yes.
I, now that I've done the
Yeah.
thing,
Yes.
yeah,
1.0 to 2.0. Maybe that's the right word to use.
1.0 to 2.0. Okay, and then we can skip
Yeah.
this one and go
Yeah.
to, so okay, so these guys are like, they're just very emotional. They just need to be educated about these
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
These are your first content ideas. This is the warm traffic. They're like, I've found some app developers. I started to build the thing, and now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of okay. I'm not really sure where to go from here, how to do the next thing. And now they're like, you know what? I am full swing. My app, my thing is in the App Store. My web app is live. My technology infrastructure is up and running. What's the big problem that you could sway them towards? So these guys are probably aware of your competitors. They can find developers anywhere. They just need very, very specific problems to sway them in your direction, or very big solutions, I should say. So for an example, like let's say I wanted to sell a website. Here's going to be, I want to sell stuff online. Here's going to be, well, now I have a website, but it's not really doing anything, and I'm not a designer or developer. And here is going to be, gosh, I built a complete site. I'm getting a lot of money. It's great. And I can hire the guy on Fiverr who will presumably help my Shopify site, or I could hire you. How do I get conversion rates up? These are people who have a little bit more technical knowledge and they're a little more savvy. So now you just need to understand why they should pick you.
I'd say product management is a category of that problem.
So how do I manage my
What?
product?
No, it's a product management is basically they have product managers and other people who are designing their current solution,
Mhm.
and they can go out and do market research. But the thing is, how do I evolve my current product? More often than not, what the entrepreneurs do at that stage is go and say, hey, I'm going to diversify. They go and introduce another product, or they go and acquire something else, but they don't think about how do I evolve my current product into my next phase.
There's actually 3 perfect questions in there. Should I add more products? How
Yeah,
do I
go
scale
ahead.
mine? And am I getting, and I'm literally dealing with this right now with an app company, the most value per customer? Am I getting highest LTV, basically?
Yeah, yeah.
What are the other questions?
So some technology companies get stuck with operations. They have a very high operational cost to operate their current business. They don't have enough money to innovate or grow.
So am I spending too much on ops?
Ops. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else? We'll just put these down to 2.
How do I prioritize my backlog? How do I prioritize my work? Am I doing too much busy work? Right.
Okay. And then what's the last one?
Uh, the prioritization is very tricky. That's why I want to say where I really help is if they're doing too much busy work. So I don't know how to frame that. Um,
Does that mean they're focusing on running the business and not growing the business? Are they doing too much day to day? Is that what you're kind of trying?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Am I doing, ooh, okay, let's try that again. Am I doing too much day today? Basically, am I a founder or am I a worker? Really, like founder, worker. All right, what's the last one?
Customer satisfaction.
Are my customers happy? Are my customers happy? Perfect. We have all of our most common questions, and from these, you can extrapolate virtually any sales objection, but more importantly, we can approach this now using our sales ladder. So what we want to understand is in the middle of this, and this is not relative to this layout, but it is a good way to visualize it, is right here is going to be your core offer. Thing Alex Shimozi talks about. What do you want to sell? First of all, how much is that thing?
MVP in 90 days is what I've been trying to sell.
Okay. Is that the thing you want to sell?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll call this our MVP. How much does an MVP cost if you had to productize it?
Anywhere between 60 to 120,000.
60 to 100K.
Yeah, 120K is the average range.
And what's your profit based on that? Just average.
Say 20%.
Okay. So you're taking 20% profit off of that. Okay. So let's say you wanted to sell an MVP. In theory, as a tech individual, you could probably solve a lot of problems with technology.
Mhm.
Yet the problem is they don't understand getting to this stage here.
Mhm.
So this thing is presumably, we'll just draw our little smartphone here just because I feel like apps are the easiest to visualize, but it could be anything. It could be infrastructure. It could be a web app. It could just be automation.
Yeah.
It could be something. Anyways, so to get from here to here, let's say you wanted to just pick one person. Who do you want to work with right now?
Let's take the college admission scenario as the
Okay.
example. That startup is struggling because they have an idea. They have been in workplace, they have been in university setting as a educator, but they don't know how to make this real. So what is
How,
the first step to build it? How much will it cost? And where and how do I get funding? Those are the three questions I'm helping them with.
Perfect. You already have the first steps of here, which would be just like Alex Hormozi says, if we want to build our lead magnet, you have to be, first of all, extremely broad. This could be your secondary lead magnet. This could be your low ticket or free thing again. Let's say this is probably going to be a call with you guys where you're talking about it
Yes.
between you and this district or school or educational institute. What would you say would be the most value to them that you could just make a piece of content on? How to turn your app idea into a reality, or how to turn, what was the word they use? Do they use app or do they use technology, or what do they call it?
Yeah, the most often than not, they'll call it an app. Hey, I
Pretty
want to
much
build this
everybody
app.
calls it an
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when executable files turned into apps. How to build your app idea. And then, all right, now they know how to build it. What's the next problem?
How do I make it into something that is presentable? How do I show it to people? How do I validate this idea?
I would say, actually, even before this, would probably be here how to build it. Because you're going to give them more value if you tell them if it's a waste of time before you even tell them how to
Yeah.
build it.
Yeah.
So, how to build it. And this is going to be, is your app a $1 million idea. That's a clickbaity title, but it could be the same thing. You'd be able to share that with anybody and they'd be like, well, I have an app idea. Then that could be how to build it. Then this could be probably cost plus steps,
Yeah.
which turns into you pitching their core
MVP.
offer,
Yeah.
which then turns into what? What's the next thing they
I
buy?
think there are 2 steps in there. So I basically do like a discovery. Or let me, I call it the readiness. Like, are you ready to do this thing? Because most developers, they start to take this on. They don't have energy. They're not in the right place in their life to take this on. So are you even ready for this, right? Doing a readiness assessment would probably be my next step. And then getting to road mapping, getting a first level MVP planning would be my next step. That I charge about 15 to 20 grand, and I give them money back if they move on to the app development. And then comes the app development. That's how I've been thinking about it.
So we need to extend this even farther, actually, because I just realized you need a lot more nurturing if you're going to ask for 20 to 15 grand. So our core offer about our MVP, which earns about 60 to 120K
Mhm.
on a 20% margin
Mhm.
profit.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's get rid of this step. I don't even think at this stage, presumably, they're ready to hop on a call.
Yeah.
So let's move this over and you tell me. So first we have, is your app $1 million idea?
Yeah.
How do I build this thing?
Yeah.
And then you could probably tell them how to get funding for it.
Are you the right person to build it? Is the next question.
What does that mean?
Sometimes a visionary is a visionary, right? They think they can execute, they can do technology, they can be a product officer, right? Are you a CFO, COO, CEO, CTO? What is your role? And usually they're just visionaries. They have this idea, they can't execute anything, right? So then, are you the right person? Like, if they don't address that up front, they have a lot of problems in warm and hot phases when they get there because they're the wrong person to do the job, right? So I set that expectation up front because it reduces a lot of friction as you go into the build and next future phases. So are you the right person to build it? That's the question.
Let's frame this so it's a little bit
Yeah.
more of a positive outcome
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
more about you giving away more value. So
Yeah.
so now I've watched this video, which at the end of it, you'll probably say, if you're ready to build it, you can watch my next video, which is going to tell you the top 5 mistakes founders make or top 10 founders mistakes. So avoid these mistakes.
Yeah.
Because the goal is we don't want to call them fat. We want them to stand on the scale and be like, oh, the scale called me fat. So avoid these mistakes. We can't be like, are you ready to take on a lot of responsibility? You're not ready for this. But we can at least say, hey, these are the most common mistakes I see. If these sound like you, by all means, take these into account if you're going to start this app. So free, this is still free content. This could be anything. This could be a blog. This could be a video. This could be anything. Now what happens? So they're like, you know what? I want to build it. I think it's a great idea. I don't fall into these categories. Probably the discovery call. Are they ready for that yet?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a discovery call, and then we go into the idea validation phase next.
Okay. So this is going to be your free call. So now we're talking about I would say probably, we don't want to say like book a consultation, or we don't want to say like, we want to talk about the outcome. So get a free, what can we give them for free? Is it like a general outline? What am I getting on the call? Why am I booking a call? Especially this is important if I look at that Calendly link and it says like, I'm excited to meet you. We're going to talk about XYZ. Here's what to expect, ABC. Like when they book a call with us, they just get a free business growth roadmap. They're not going to do it. because it's a lot of work and they get confused. So they come back to us. But I'd rather just tell them, yeah, you need more upsells. You're not charging enough. Your customer doesn't make any sense. Here's how to fix all of that. Oh, your website's really confusing. Come back to us in 2 months when you try and fix this. So
Got
like
it.
I have to get something out of this call.
Got it. I would say next steps to 90 days, the MVP build, next steps to MVP build,
So I'd say
if there is one.
get your 90-day MVP
Yeah.
roadmap.
Or you can say readiness, right? Get ready for your build, get ready to build, or something like that. I don't
We got to give them a deliverable. We got to get. It doesn't have to be a
Or-
document, but it's got to be something valuable. MVP roadmap. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this again because I feel like you can even get more value in between here. And this would actually solve a lot of your problems as well. How to fund it. Just give away the secrets. Tell them how to find investors. Tell them how to build a pitch deck. Tell them mistakes that most people make. Because if you solve this problem, I talked to Sotheby's about this, and a lot of their realtors were basically getting unqualified leads. And I said, why don't you just have them go to your mortgage loan officer? You guys front the cost. They see if they qualify for a home loan, and then you only get the best leads who can actually afford $1 million plus home. Instead of all these people who come out and say like, I can afford $100. What can I get in Seattle for that monthly? So how to fund it. Get your free 90-day MVP. And this is you guys talking.
Yeah.
We are well on our way to a sustainable business model here. Then what happens? What's the first thing this is where they start giving you money, presumably, unless you want to add more low ticket offers in here.
This is where we start building the product roadmap and planning the execution. I call this build the right thing.
Okay. How much does a product roadmap cost?
This I charge about 15 to 20 grand. And I give 5 grand back if they move on to the build phase.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Okay, so we're at 15K to 20K.
Mhm.
And then the next one is the build phase?
Yeah.
Perfect. How much is that?
That's a 60 to 120.
Okay.
That's a core offer.
Core offer down here.
Yeah.
Okay. So now all you need to do is pick who you want to do this for. And what's funny is this is a really easy part, but this is the part that everybody gets hung up on. Theoretically, you can do this for any of these businesses we talked about. This place could use an app. It'd be great if they had an online booking portal for this room. But anybody can use an app, a web app, code, development, something that would presumably displace human labor and save them a bunch of money or make them more money. So all you're going to do is now we have to create I call this our value statement.
Mhm.
So here's the structure for this. We help target get outcome with process. And then I like to add a little bonus spice on it, even if we call this a reverse. So this is where your starting point where everything will be moving forward. So if I wanted to teach somebody sales, we help, I don't know, let's say we help real estate agents get more leads and better customers by changing the way they do their marketing, even if they struggle with sales and marketing. We help get outcome with, this should actually be in brackets as well. Who do you want to help? Now that you see this roadmap here, these are all your first pieces of content. A lot of these are probably going to be really bad app ideas. I mean, take it, you have experience in this field. I can't tell you how many people are like, it's like Uber for blank. It's like blank for blank. It's like Airbnb for boats, Has anybody asked for this? So in your experience, now that we've defined our parameters, all you're literally doing is taking that value statement, and you can do this to unlimited niches, but in reality, you just want to focus on one guy right now. Probably could be retail, probably could be EDU. So for instance, we did our retail. Check this out. Well, I would probably say that retail would be the most difficult at this stage because it's dying business. It's going away. Brick and mortar is more expensive. Education is always in favor, but education and information have become democratized. College is more expensive. You can get free information online on the internet in any format, at any time, on any device, and anywhere in the world. So what would you like to do that helps somebody that fits these criteria right now? All of those, ideally.
Can we stay away from industry-specific focus for now and
Okay.
focus on the persona? And then we can probably come back to the industry if it has to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Okay.
know that is the biggest one that people struggle with. I'll be
Yep.
perfectly honest. So if it's an industry persona, then all we need to do is at least hone in on these common problems that you
Yeah.
have right here. And this is your roadmap to getting your cold lead into a warm lead into a hot lead.
Mhm.
So right now, we have to get in the shoes of John Doe.
Mhm.
And these people who are asking these questions,
Mhm.
what you have to do is invade those spaces.
Mhm.
Where would be the first place this person goes when they have a vision?
I've been using LinkedIn as my source, but there on Facebook, there are user groups for startups, founders. That's one place where they hang out.
Sounds like you should probably have a Facebook group as well.
Come again?
Sounds like you should have a Facebook group. Somewhere you can send these people and aggregate and they can see your content. So let's say you want Dave here who's not quite ready to buy your thing, but if he joins your Facebook group and you continually drip him value, hey, I have this video. Is your idea real? Here's how to get funding. Here's all these things right here. And they see, man, I'm getting all this insane value from this guy. How do I take the next steps?
Yeah.
Just like you joined Written Business Network.
Mhm.
Have you noticed I post a video in there about once a week?
Yeah.
Get a lot of random DMs from people who are like, hey man, I see you post these videos. What do you do?
Yeah.
So like same thing here is, and we'll come to we'll skip the upsell for now. I would say you need a place to send them.
Okay.
You need content that speaks their language. You need downsells, or as Hermosi calls them, lead magnets. Downsells can be paid though. Let's say you have a book. Let's say you have a widget. Let's say you have a code snippet, a calculator, something that gives them value. Just like Alex Hermosi has his book, which he's playing 3D chess by telling people how to make successful businesses. Then you can go to acquisition.com to sign up for his course. Oh, you're not ready for the big one? You could go to Las Vegas and you can buy a ticket. We'll fly you out. We'll sit in a room with a bunch of other founders and we'll talk about why your thing isn't making as much money as it should. It's just a 3D lead magnet. He's very smart about that, and a lot of people tend to do this as well without realizing it. So even on a more perspective level, the niche just needs to at least fit into these categories right now. So if we're looking at the persona, just like this guy right here, we have to figure out,
Okay. So the target there is the C-level or the founder.
yeah, so where do they hang out at? What's the very first thing they do when they have one of these problems?
They go to the LinkedIn group and figure out what's happening.
But you want to get them out of traffic that you don't control. Right now, LinkedIn is rented space. It's like a strip mall. Could just go away. They could ban you. And what you want to do is you want to get them interested in your stuff by just giving away something that addresses the core concerns and funneling them into the next step. So they're probably going to go to LinkedIn, like you said. What are they going to do there?
They're going to figure out the user groups.
So the groups on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the startup groups, there are founder groups. They will basically go and post there to see, or they're going to read the existing posts there, questions there, and see if they can find answers.
Okay. And right now, how are you? I'm presuming that you're in these groups already, correct?
I'm in those groups, yes.
Okay. What happens when they post these things? Like, let's say they join these
There's
groups.
tons of responses.
Tons of
from all over the
responses.
world. Yeah.
And
It's very difficult to stand out.
okay. What can you do, hint, hint, right here, that would be better than a cheesy ChatGPT or 5-text or 5-sentence LinkedIn response? Is your app a $1 million idea? If you had this in a format that was digestible and you could post that just here, then you would need to navigate them to here. At some point, you'd want to ask for an email or you'd want to ask for something to give it to them.
Yeah, that's been my struggle. Like I've been answering like LinkedIn questions like, hey, to become the top voice in the space. But it's just answers. I don't know who's seeing it, how they're seeing it, how to move them to the next step. I don't know.
Well, what you're doing is you need a funnel strategy, and that becomes part of that buyer persona. Just like you said, if I DM'd you right now and I said, "Hey man, you know your website's broken. Do you want a new website?" You'd be like, "Oh, get out of my DMs." Like I get a gajillion emails all day of improve your SEO, reach the first page of Google. Just tell them the secrets. And the thing is they need to be engaged enough to take that next step. And they're not going to get that from a LinkedIn response, at least not one that's about 2 sentences long. I'll tell you that. So the same thing when they answer those questions, those cheesy little like, you've been selected as a unique ambassador to answer these questions. And it's some generic business one like, as operational load increases and AI seeks to displace the blah, 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 and then you see like 5 other people in a row answering the question, and it's very like self-indulgent personally. So what you need to do, just like I said, is to get this guy in the LinkedIn group, and you need to get him into your group. The problem is right now, they're not going anywhere. If you're just waiting for them to post in that group and then you answer that question, to get them to take the next step has to be a much smaller nudge. And what you're doing is you're nurturing them to address all the objections up front. So now that you know how long it takes, how much they're willing to spend, if it's a good idea, because you've already pre-qualified this lead by giving them all of this value. Hopefully they've watched some of these videos and they're like, oh, I'm at right here. I'm at that stage where I'm ready to talk to you about my thing. Now all you need to do is literally, once you get them into that call, you give them the free 90-day MVP roadmap. You can get ChatGPT to generate it. Just make sure you train the model well. And then all you need to do is just bam, fam, book a meeting from a meeting. You know what? I realize it's a 90-day MVP. If you ever have any issues trying to find developers, trying to find funding, trying to do all this stuff, we can always go to the next step here. And right here, this one, hopefully they have consumed and taken actions on here. But all you're doing is solving these problems. But you want to get them interested first.
The discovery, right? I struggle with that because there's a lot of value there. Or personally add a lot of value there because they don't know what their customer is, what the customer journey is like, what problems the customer is facing. So I go through an exercise with them and see what are the problems that can be commoditized, what are the problems that can be outsourced, what is the problem that you differentiate, what is your MVP. I add a lot of value there, so I don't want to give that away for free. So probably, I don't know, can we break it into 2 steps?
Well, there's other ways you can approach this as well.
Okay.
If you were to expand upon this, you can do one of 3 things. The first one is, and I'll be brutally honest, give it away for free. They will thank you. What's working now isn't working, so what do you have to lose? If I were to tell you how to make $1 million right now and you encounter your first problem, where would you go to? To me. Or you could split it into lower ticket automated items. You can write a book on it, better be a really good book, just like that $100 million offers one, better give them extreme value. You could create a course, so you can create a digitized video version where you walk them through the steps, buy my $99 course on how to build your first app. Or you could just do what is basically a self-service prototype. So essentially it's like a fill in the blank Mad Libs. Hey, here's your app idea, type it into this widget. Maybe Zapier passes it on to ChatGPT and spits out something at the other end. So like a good example of this is like if I were to sell a website, instead of saying for free, I say, hey, for 20 bucks, put your website in here. This will give you a complete website optimization guide. Takes that website, ChatGPT analyzes it. Oh, your header's bad, your H2 is missing. Here's a whole guide on how to do it. The problem with that is always that it needs to be extreme value. And it has to be something that ideally you have social proof of, case studies of. The problem with the giving it away for free part that everybody struggles with is you haven't operationalized what this process looks like. So actually, I'll give you a real world example. There was a chiropractor who just came into Renton. And instead of saying like, hey, do you want to come in here and get like a $200 adjustment every week or so? They said, come in, first adjustment's only $27. Literally the whole thing was scripted out to the nine. Takes about maybe 20, 30 minutes. Do you have this problem? You're coming in, we're gonna do this. Would you like to take the next step? So like this should only take about a half an hour or an hour of your time max. That's it. And you need to get the leads information because the chances of this person solving the problem within the next week or two, if they were gonna solve it, they would have already done it. There's no reason for them to book a discovery call unless they have some inherent issue with it. If this guy is savvy enough to say like, well, I know how to make an MVP. I can go find developers in India I could pay like $5 a week to do this. He would have done it.
Yeah.
This guy has a reason to be there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just about moving them from here to here to here. And then you want to quantify your offer. Just like in the book, it's not really commodifying. What you're doing is productizing. You just want to take a service and map out what that would look like. And you know what's funny? Here we go. Minimalist Innovations 90-day MVP service. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get complete road mapping, which is going to give you your blueprint for growth so you know where to put your time and effort without the guesswork. You're going to know how to secure funding and raise capital so that you don't have to invest a bunch of your money into this and you can get more people onto your team. We're also going to validate your idea at the very beginning to know even if it's worth it so that you don't end up wasting your time, money, and effort, and we can actually pick the next better app idea because you might have a good one, the foundation might be sound, we just need to figure out what that is. Then we're going to build an MVP. It's going to take about 90 days. You'll get fast to market ahead of all competitors so that you can get a prototype that you can showcase to your friends, family, coworkers, associates, and start making money. We're also going to do solution verification to find the most effective version of this. Even if you struggle with the vision right now, we're going to figure out what best version of this will make you money and your app a success. We're going to do startup to scale up. So once it's actually out there in the open, we're going to fast track you to growth so you can skip about the next 10 years of headaches and guesswork. We're also going to build out all your business operations so you know how to run the thing. You're going to keep it clean and keep it lean. And you're going to get complete compliance so that you can avoid all legal troubles. And all of this is going to happen in X amount of days and slap a guarantee on it. How does that sound? Do you see how that right there?
Yeah.
That's the blueprint. Sell this. Make your headline on your website, literally your H1, boil that down. You can copy paste this into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a high converting, high value, simple to understand H1 and H2. So here's how you could map this out on your website to make it high converting. Have an H1, H2, CTA1, CTA2. This would be what? Outcome. Process. You could probably also add some trust badges in here. You know, your social pilot score, your Google Maps score, how many businesses you've helped, something that really pushes them a little bit over. And then just like we're talking about, benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3. Outcome 1, outcome 2, outcome 3. Next, pain 1, pain 2, pain 3. And I would actually even go the next level here. Put a nice little hero image of somebody having a great time. Their app idea is coming to reality. I saw the do it more one with the computer, target demographics, not a computer. And I would even go a step further and put a VSL here. Do a little video of how the process works. You can hire somebody on Fiverr for about 30, 40 bucks that breaks the whole thing down, just like Dropbox did when nobody knew what cloud storage is. Condense that down into like 60 seconds. You know, have you ever struggled with turning your technology, your dreams of starting the next app or improving your business's infrastructure or whatever, but you don't know where to begin? Well, I'm here to tell you that this process is simple. All it takes is blah, 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 blah. You can actually use a format. Announce your audience, pinpoint the pain, twist the knife, sell the solution, open the offer. So who, pain, twist, solution, offer. Hey, visionary. Do you struggle with knowing the next steps to figure out how to make your technology dreams a reality? You want to build the next big app, or maybe you want to improve the operations of your business by using technology. And if you keep doing this, you feel like you're going to waste a bunch of your money. You're not even really sure if the idea is good. And wouldn't it be great if there was a way that you could make those dreams a reality without the risk, without having to be, a tech guru? Well, I have a solution for you, and then break it down, steps of working with you, and then do the offer to point to probably either the call. Yeah, I would say the call. If they're already on your website, just get them in the call. They already know what you do. Pain. Put more CTA here, another CTA, put another CTA here. Maybe I would even, if possible, I don't know if you have them, but in here I would put case study 1, case study 2, examples of people doing that. I would do intent-based case studies. So instead of putting a Google review that says like, you're so cool, on the side of it, put the question they asked, the pain they had, and then next to it, how you solved it. So in my case, it would be like, how do I sell my stuff online? Then a review of somebody who I helped them sell their stuff online, how much I made them, a little picture of them so they look like a real human being, their business title, and whatever their business name is. And that's pretty much a blueprint right there.
Okay.
Does this kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Has this been valuable to you?
Yes.
I would encourage you, I'll send you a template that I have that's like based on the book as well, that you can literally just paste these in here. It's a Google Doc. And what I would encourage you to do is extrapolate the risk reversals from these. So if you're building out a roadmap, what you want to do is to figure out the inverse of this. So if I'm trying to sell you like, I don't know, let's say I wanted to sell you app development services, they might say like, was it going to work on iOS and Android? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, well, okay. What if I don't have the funding? Then you need your answer to each one of these, and literally you can just copy and paste them. That way, when you get into the call and they ask you the same 5 questions, you'll just have a list of what to respond with. Not only that, I would actually start to figure out what bonuses you can have, just like Alex Ramosi says. Like, what in here can you kind of tack on? So address these as sales objections, extrapolate some bonuses you can get out of this.
Yeah, I've been writing blogs and posting on LinkedIn. I've not got traction, so probably I need to change how I think about lead magnets. And
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
blogs are like the lowest value
I know.
content. Yeah, this is the part that nobody wants to hear, especially tech guys.
Yeah.
You have to show your face on camera. Just grab a little lav mic like one of these. You can get them for 30, 40 bucks on Amazon. Make a video that's engaging, that talks about, is your app idea $1 million app idea? Condense it down into like 25, 30-ish minutes and post that. Some of these do actually work well. I recommend that you still post the blog because the SEO aspect of this is really powerful. Like a good example of this is I worked with a national franchise of computer repair shops, and I kept telling them, like, first of all, give away the diagnostic for free. Once they know the problem with their laptop, they're gonna be like, I still need a computer that works. So I was like, well, what's the first thing that they always struggle with? It's usually liquid damage. I spilled coffee on my MacBook. Write a blog post about what to do when you spill coffee on your MacBook and how to save your data. And then at the very bottom of that, say like, hey, if all of this is too confusing, you can actually just come into my shop and we'll just take the next steps on how to see where this thing is going, And that's great because most people are searching on YouTube or Google, I just spilled coffee on my MacBook, what the hell do I do? And bam. Like, yeah, this might not even be the right terminology, honestly. I would base this on search intent. Yeah, exactly. So,
Got it.
awesome.